So just kind of looking to kind of understand where we are. I go over these all the time, just testing to see what time is it. And so as we go through, we're going to use other pieces of evidence. We're going to look at the Euphrates River and try to understand what does it mean, what does it have to do with current time. Current time, we're going to look at images, we're going to look at scriptures, and we're just going to kind of see if it makes sense to us. Euphrates River, long part of the area known as the Fertile Crescent, is a significant landmark in the scripture and a valuable resource in the Middle East as it runs through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Over the past few years, the water level of the Euphrates River has dropped dramatically. The drying up of the Euphrates River has revealed several ancient ruins and a cave. So there are some things that they are finding along the river. Of course, we're not looking at any part of the caves or any other thing. This is just basically a cut and paste, things that I go out and find as visuals. So I'm looking for more visuals so that we can kind of have visuals and just, look at what is. And so this is an image of the Euphrates River as it looked some years ago. And if you look over here, it was even higher than this. But at this point, in modern time, you can see a road. So you know that if man built a road and a bridge, that they have connected two parts of the mass or land mass. But also, before that road and bridge was there, I would contend that there was more water probably where I can see, just water levels that are ancient. Even looking here, I see where I can see here, we call them striations in rock formations, but you can also see vegetation over here and over here. But if you look at the height of the landmass, if the water was all the way up, the water could rise all the way up to the top and still be contained as a river. But what we see now is after years and generations of water receding, and every generation may not recognize that they no longer see the levels of water that they saw. But in modern day, we can see a road. We can even see some type of something building down here. And so we know that as time progresses, it reveals. So the seals, the seven seals, seven trumpets, seven bowls. And where we're going to concentrate is here. Seal, all of the seals, but trumpet 7, bowl 7. And we will look at more of what does it mean. I've compiled the 7 trumpets so that we can kind of magnify or focus on that. Trumpets, Revelation chapter 8 through 11, so chapter 8, verses 7 through 12. Revelation chapter 9, verse 1, verse 3, verse 13, and verse 14. Then Revelation chapter 11, verse 15, which will be the 7th trumpet. Now, this is a lot. So because it is so much, and I have used each chapter for over the years to have every piece of detail. What I'm explaining now is I did a short summary of each trumpet. So hopefully, and if you go back and read the trumpets, I'm not going to have everything here. This is only the summary so that I can get everything on one page. All right, so let me begin. And the first messenger sounded, and there came to be hail and fire mixed with blood. And they were thrown to the earth, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. The second messenger sounded, and what looked like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. The third messenger. And a great star fell from the heaven, burning like a torch. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the fountains of water. Fourth messenger sounded. And a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened, and a third of the day did not shine. And likewise the night. So the first four, I would say that I've seen evidence of the first four. I know this may sound a little scary, but did you get scared when the first messenger sounded? Because it already sounded. Or the second, or the third, or the fourth. They've already sounded. So it's not for us to be afraid of what Yahweh is giving us, but to understand times and seasons. And this is why it is said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, there is no need for me to write to you concerning times or seasons. Why? Because you know very well that the Son of Man comes like a thief in the night. Why a thief in the night? Because it's when you least expect it. A thief never comes and rings the bell and says, I'm going to rob your house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Nor does he say, when you're on vacation, I will visit your house and help myself. He never warns us. So Yeshua is coming at a time that people do not expect him. But not Israel. Why not Israel? Because he's telling us all the time, he's teaching us. He actually gives us the moment. And I've taught on that before, but I'm skeptical about how much I say. So therefore, let them study on their own. Yahweh meant what he meant for his people. And so here we go. Now, the remaining three that I did not call, which is number 5, number 6, and number 7, relates to the 3 woes. What are the 3 woes? Yahweh says, now I didn't go into it here. The details on the woes are a lot. It's telling you that there's going to be so much distress in the earth that even Israel could be fooled, because there will be distress and deception. Number 5, the 5th messenger. I saw a star from heaven which had fallen to the earth, and the key to the pit of the deep was given to him. So verse 3 tells us exactly what it is. It's the locust that came upon the earth. Now, if you remember visuals where I showed you in previous messages, for those of us who are here and those who have been following my teachings, I'm not going to use it today. But we've seen where the locusts were in Africa, UK, US, Israel, just a number of places that we saw these grasshopper-looking insects had mass invasions. So I'm going to leave that and say that I've even seen evidence of number 5 take place. Number 6, and the 6th messenger sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden slaughter place, which is before Elohim. So what is the golden slaughter place? That's the altar in heaven. Remember, the temple was built with an altar or slaughter place. Well, this one is the golden slaughter place. So it's different from the one that was in the temple. Because right now, we don't have the temple. So the altar that sits before Yahweh is still set up. The temple that is in heaven is still set up. So, I'll come back to number 6 in just a moment. Number 7, the seventh messenger sounded, and there came to be a loud voice in heaven saying, the reign of this world has become the reign of our master and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. 2 thoughts. If the reigns of the world becomes the reign of our master, who's the master? Yahweh. Who's his Messiah? Yeshua. So we see they're both represented in number 7. So Yahweh, who is master over all, and then there's Yeshua, who will then also sit on the throne in the earth. Just so that we can kind of see that picture. But what we have is both the spirit and the body. Spirit which resides in heaven, and a body which will reside in the earth. Going back to number 6, and y'all know I'm talking about the one. Yahweh, who has both spirit and body. So number 6, kind of focus in just a quick moment. Number 6, I believe sometime during number 6, and I'm not giving exact dates, but sometime during the trumpet number 6 will be the gathering of the wise. I have more scripture that I will go to so we'll have more understanding so that you can see. I'm not just giving my opinion on this, but I'm giving you facts, not fiction. So as we go through, keep in mind these 7 trumpets. But number 6, come back to, because as long as we are here, number 6 is not over yet. As long as we're out in general public, number 7 has not even begun. So I see evidence of 1 through 5 trumpets. I see evidence of number 6 trumpet. I don't see evidence of the 7th trumpet as we are here. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 1 through 6. We're going to look at some signs. And this is going to be a sign that I've not shown us yet. But as we go through, I believe you will recognize some that I have shown, but some I have not. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 1 through 6. Let the wilderness and the dry places be glad for them, and let the desert rejoice and blossom as the rose. It blossoms much and rejoices, even with joy and singing. The esteem of Lebanon shall be given to it. The excellence of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the esteem of Yahweh. Let me repeat that. The excellence of Carmel and Sharon. So Carmel is a mountain. Sharon is a valley. Are y'all getting that? We saw when we looked at the Euphrates, what did we see? Mountains on either side. And then we saw a valley, right? All right, so I'm going to move on. They see, what do they see? The esteem of Yahweh. What or who is the esteem of Yahweh? Yeshua, among other things. Strengthen the weak hands and make firm the weak knees. So this is a command. He's telling us something. I'll get to more of it, but I want to kind of prick your thoughts. But strengthen the weak knees, strengthen the weak hands. So that means something is going on with the people. Fear is going on with people. Things are out of order. The world is out of order. The governments are out of order. Living seems to be out of order. I'm not used to this. This is not my standard. This is bad. This is gross. This is just crazy. And so we see things that both upset us. But he's saying, make firm. What is he firm? If we look at the first part, maybe 1 through 3, he says, let the wilderness and the dry place be glad for them. So what you see that may be terrifying to some people to see water resources drying up. Yahweh is the opposite. He's saying, let the wilderness, wait a minute, dry places? You mean less water? And we're supposed to be glad. We are dying of thirst, clean water, we got stinky water, we got filthy water, and Yahweh is saying, let the wilderness and the dry places be glad for them, and let the desert rejoice. Desert, wait a minute, desert is an extremely dry place. I hope y'all getting the picture I'm trying to draw here. Don't let that fear you, because greater is he who's in us than he is where? In the world. And remember, Hasatan is thrown where? Down to the earth. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth. Woe. So that means, as we're going into these 3 woes, don't forget, he's given us encouragement. Let me continue. Say to those who are anxious with anxious heart, be strong, do not fear. See, your Elohim comes with vengeance. With the recompense of Elohim, he is coming to save you. Wait a minute. You're in the midst of all of this confusion, in the midst of all of this dryness, bad water, good water, everything that you may not either want is going on. And he's saying what? Do not fear what you see. So we're looking at the giants again. Yahweh took away every excuse when he sent the 12 spies into the promised land. Because what they saw was truly fearful. The 10 spies who came back with the evil report were legitimately speaking their concern. Number one, they're bigger than us, they're stronger than us. Who did they send? Fighting men. These were men of war. And they came back afraid. Why were they afraid? We have wives and children. And we ourselves will all be dinner on their tables. We can't fight them. So Yahweh sent them into a place that was not conducive to joy. But I say to you again, listen to what he's saying to us. Say to those with ancient hearts, be strong, do not fear. See, your Elohim comes with vengeance, with the recompense of Elohim. He is coming to do what? Save you. He's not going to let the giants eat us up. That's the fear. Stinky water, bad roads, bad housing, bad jobs, bad anything. Anything you can put bad in front of. He's saying, don't fear. He's coming to save us. And sometimes he has to use Israel for the enemy to come after. Remember when they were standing at the foot of the water, and it was water in front of them. The reed seat was in front of them. On both sides, they had what? The wadi. They were in the valley, and there was a mountain on each side. They had no place to go. You got Pharaoh's army who's coming with 600 leaders of the vast army. Choice chariots, the scripture says. And he says, I'm coming to save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf be opened. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the dumb sing. Because water shall burst forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. So this is now being literal. I want to show y'all something that I haven't shown you before. I'm going to show you what Yahweh is doing already to the dry places, to the desert. I'm going to let you see a visual in 2 slides. Some reason. Okay, so that was actually, I thought I had 2 slides on that one particular. Okay, here, I thought I had another slide on it. And I think, oh, that's right, I did take it out. There was 7 through, I think, 11, and I took it out. This is enough for me to illustrate what I want you to see. What I want you to see, visuals of streams of water in the desert. So we'll take a look as I continue. I thought I had got out of order a little bit, but I didn't. There it is. Okay. I must have moved so fast I didn't see it. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 7 through 10, not 11, 10. So this is where the wise will walk. Remember in Exodus, when it says they came out of Mizraim on wings of what? An eagle? And we see that they walk from Mizraim to the promised land, Canaan. They walk, right? So he's telling us the same thing in Revelation 12. So what I want you to just kind of now begin to really put the images in your mind that he's talking about every mode of transportation. Because when they came out of Mizraim, they were on donkeys, they were walking, they were in wagons, chariots, whatever they made for travel, they used. Because they had seniors, they had youth, they had everything that they had to transport. They were riding on both beast and vehicles. Today, our vehicles are a little more advanced. So that means ships, for some people, boats, for some people, walking, for some people, airplanes. So no matter what mode of transportation, Yahweh is bringing us, and it has already begun. I'm not talking about something that's coming. We've already begun to exit. Verse 7 through 10, starting with verse 7. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land spring of water. In the home of jackals, where each lay grass with reeds and rushes. And there shall be a highway and a way, and it shall be called the way of set apartness. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it. No lion is there, nor any ravenous beast go up on it. It is not found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. So in this first few verses, we see that the ground that was parched will become a spring of water where jackals and other things used to roam. Now it's going to be filled with water. Now what we have seen as of former teachings, other teachings, and what we've seen a bit of today was the Euphrates. One side, the before and after. The before where it was water, the after where it was drying up. It's not totally dry, although I've seen reports as I go out and do my research to update how does it look now. I've seen other reports saying that it is totally, I saw that word, totally dry. I disagree, because there's still some evidence that it was a river by some patches of water. But y'all saw what it looked like during our day when they built a road and a bridge. Y'all saw what it looked like then, but you can also envision what it may have looked like generations before us. Before we started building roads for cars. When did we start driving cars and needing infrastructure for cars? It wasn't until the late 1800s, coming out of the U.S. Ford Model T. I think that was supposed to be one of the earliest versions of what we see today as far as vehicles. So every place you go now, you got to build roads because we now have cars. So let's look at the next portion. It says, and the ransomed of Yahweh shall return and enter Zion with singing and with everlasting joy on their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. So as we go into the kingdom, because we're not there yet, we are beginning to gather so that we can gather others. Who's supposed to sing? It says, exactly. It says, the ransomed ones, the ransomed of Yahweh shall what? Return where? To Zion with singing. So what are we doing now? We're singing. We come together and we sing. We lift up our voices. So in the day when we are gathered all together, coming from all directions, He says, I am drying up the land to establish a highway. Why? Because we gotta, for those who will be walking or driving or flying, whatever is your mode of transportation, we're going into the land. So this rapture theory, those who will be caught up and they think they're going to be raptured, go right ahead, because he's talking about those of us who are going into the land will still be here. So go right ahead and get your rapture on. The ransomed ones of Yahweh shall what? Return where? To Zion. Everlasting joy on their heads. Everlasting joy. Wait a minute. You mean there'll be no more sorrow after we enter in? No. Once we enter in, there's a process. The first part of the process is hidden. The time now is to be hidden. So remember when I was talking to you about number 6, trumpet number 6, and bowl number 6. It's during this time before bowl number 6 or trumpet number 6 has ended. And that's when it says the first woe, number 5, second says the first woe has ended. I know I didn't put the detail there. That's a lot of the different parts of Revelation I'm not going into today. But this is very, very, very important that you hear me. You listen to me. Less on believing what I say, more on just hearing. Just hear me. That's all I ask. Because as we progress, I see the world stage is now set. I'm not saying set it. I said set. Or do you not know that the United States is threatening Iran with war? Also, not only Iran, you have Russia and Iran who are allies along with others. But if I can just kind of key in on those two, because the main battle is between the U.S. and Russia. There's this battle of east-west. And number 6, the trumpet 6, by the time it concludes, and by the time number 7 has sounded, it says, woe, woe, which brings in the other 2 woes. So if you only got 3 woes, and trumpet number 5 tells me that the first woe has ended, when trumpet 5 is still going. But once trumpet 5 ends, the 2 woes begin. And then I'm just saying, Yahweh, have your way. Because when 6 end and trumpet 7 begin, I, for one, don't want to be out here, unless that's Yahweh's will. I will go through whatever he wants us to go through. But based solely on what I see, my research, I'm not talking about anyone else. I'm talking about on what I see, and I have seen a lot of others who are teaching also, giving very good understanding. So let me finish this up and we're going to leave. Now, y'all know that I talk a lot about the foolish and the wise. This is where the foolish can't be. They are Israel, but they will not be here. Only the wise will walk here. Water is going to be supplied. There's going to be a highway, and it is called the way of set apartness. That reminds me of when Yeshua was here. At one time, there was called the way. The unclean does not pass over. So they can't be out here. That means this has to happen. And once it happens, which is in trumpet 6, I don't know if you can kind of see why I'm saying. If we focus in on number 6, we too can know a little bit better. One thing I can tell you, that trumpet 6, I see evidence of it go. But I do not see evidence of the end. Why? This is it. And there shall be a highway, a way, and it shall be called the way of set apartness. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it. So there's your foolish. No fools will get to go on this specific walk. There will be no predatory animals, no lions, no ravenous beast. This is Yahweh's word. So when we get on that path, we don't have to fear anything. Why? We've gone in the door and the door is closed. So I'm hoping that this gives us a better image of what's going to be happening. We're still going to be live. Is the earth still going to be alive? Yes. The world is still going to be alive. He puts us in a place in secret. We just become missing. How do you become missing? The same way we do every year. What do we do every year? We keep the feast. We become missing during the feast. What are we doing? We're keeping the feast. And the last one is trumpet number 6. It's fulfilled in trumpet number 6, where we do not come back, but we're going on the way. We have been gathered from every point of the earth. It doesn't matter where you are. You can even be in the land of Israel. It don't matter. But what will matter is that you have done these things ahead of time so that your name can be written in the book, the Lamb's book of life. So, the ransomed of Yahweh shall return. Remember, I think, I don't know, maybe it was my last teaching a couple of weeks back, or even further. It says that I'm going to put, he says, I will make some of the ransomed ones priests. And he said, of the tribe of Levi. So here's the ransomed ones. They shall obtain what? Joy, gladness, and sorrow will flee. So let's begin to have a visual, and I want to just kind of look. And I'm using my imagination, so I'm not saying to you that this is 100% true. Well, is it untrue? No, I'm not saying that I'm giving you something that's untrue. I'm using my imagination. What if Africa is the place that Yahweh has preserved? Now we know that he says in Revelation that the woman that has the crown, the 12 stars, I taught on that my last teaching. Remember about the woman, and I showed all the illustration of the woman and her being flown into her place that was prepared by Yahweh. Revelation chapter 12, right? All right, so what if the continent is the place that he has prepared? But let's look. This is both 3 different articles that I have. Again, I'm scanning, I'm looking for information. And so this is an article by Julia Jacobo, September 23rd, 2024. African parts of the Sahara Desert are turning green amid an influx of heavy rainfall. Wait a minute. Desert rainfall? That should ring a bell by itself. Raining in the desert? Flora tends to sprout quickly once, or like vegetation, tends to sprout quickly once the typically dry landscape gets water. So on my left, I have just the bare continent along with attachments, whatever that would be politically. We have the Sahara Desert, the Sahel, which is in between, and then we have where a lot more of us live, which is in the green areas. So the Sahel Desert, you have some people who live in deserts, but it's extremely hot. As those of you know, we had, Ravis and myself, visited over here. We were here. So we do know that people live here. This is the Nile River. All of this up here, we're moving from the Mediterranean Sea, and it's watering going on down. Other areas you can see it more here, but it goes down, and so it waters all of Africa. Okay? Over here is the land they call Canaan, Israel, Promised Land. Okay? So we were able to see with our eyes the Nile River. We traveled down. But all of that is up here. And it took us it was about, if I remember correctly, 7 to 8 hours, just a straight flight. And we had to make a stop, actually. I can't remember all the details. But if you know that we are right here, this is Ghana. Yes, this is Ghana. And we flew from here to here. So we saw vastness of the desert. I was just looking out the window. We were in the airplane, and I just saw desert, 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 desert. But I can see faint roads down there where you don't want your car stalled in something like this. That's almost death. But here, the Sahel, we have a cooler part. And then definitely here, we are sub-Saharan, which is where we live. On my right, now I have the countries and the different places that live up in these areas. And so if you can look at the blue area, the gray area, you have Morocco here, Algeria here, Tunisia over in here, Libya here. So you can kind of place all of the different countries that live up in this area. But when there's more concentrated heat, you see less and less people living in those areas, but they do belong to those countries. And so along the Sahel, you have Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Chad, and Sudan. And then below the Sahel, you have Senegal, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, and so on, Eritrea over there. So if you get the picture, we can see how it looks. So this is Saudi Arabia and how the desert is becoming farmland. Here is a before picture and after. So if you're not used to seeing desert, this is how desert looks. And this is what I saw. This is what we saw looking out of the window. So I know this is real because we were actually on the ground and we were traveling to Alexandria, another country, state, whatever it was. It was 2.5 hours to 3 hours drive. And we were going very, 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 very fast to get there because it's a lot of desert. And so we saw a lot of this desert, but we also saw housing, not as populated as some of the other parts like Egypt, but we did see housing, which is why the speed limit wasn't more closely monitored. You didn't see police sitting out there waiting to pull you over. When I say this guy was driving, he was hitting 240, what do they call them here? Kilometers. This brother was hitting 240, 260. Easy. I'm like, whoo. But he was serious, but he could handle it. He was doing it. And it still took us through 2.5 to 3 hours to get to Alexandria. But anyway, but look what it's beginning to look like. And so if we are not sure about that, let's go back to some scripture. Revelation chapter 16, verse 1 through 11. So I want to now cue more into the bowls. And we're going to look at bowl number 6. And again, I am isolating a lot of the details, and I'm not going too much further than verse 17. From verse 17, going into chapter 17, 18, 19, and 20, is all about the details. I'm not even going into all of that. And then you got chapter 20, chapter 21, and chapter 22. He's talking about what's going to happen on the other side when we get to the other side where the foolish can't come. All right, so I heard a loud voice from the dwelling place saying to the 7 messengers, "Go and pour out the bowls of the wrath of Elohim on the earth." Now remember in the other scripture we saw where Yahweh's golden altar was sitting before him, right? So he's doing something with that golden altar. And so he's going to pour out a cup or a bowl of evil. Well, does Yahweh do evil? Well, to the one who's receiving it, they look at it as evil because it's bad to them and bad for them. Some will die, some will want to die but can't die. Because he won't let them. Because the scripture says, when I saw this, he said, because they deserve it. And this is the one who harmed his people. And the first went, and evil and wicked sores came upon the men, those having the mark of the beast, and those worshiping his image. The second messenger poured out on the earth or the sea. So remember the first one, those having the mark of the beast, right? We'll get to that in a few minutes. The second one is pouring his out where? On the sea. It became blood as of a dead one, and every living creature in the sea died. Now, is every creature going to die? Well, wait till we get to the next verse. We'll understand more. And the third messenger poured on the rivers and the fountains of water, and they became what? Blood. This sounds like the 10 plagues. I told y'all before that as we go through these trumpets and these bowls, we're going through the trumpets. And the thing about not the plagues, the thing about that is he hid them inside because people will become experts at, I know what plague comes next. And I know I got plenty of time because Israel didn't have to do anything until the last plague. And so people say, I know I'm going to be raptured up and all of this, and I don't have to do anything because I am the new Israel. And so Yahweh is allowing them to think just what they want to think. The next verse says, and the fourth messenger poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was given to him to burn men with fire. I'm telling you, I don't want to be in that part. I just don't, I have no request to experience being burned with fire. And the fifth messenger poured out his on the throne of the beast. Wait a minute, here's a shift. This one is no longer the earth, the water, but it's the beast, the throne of the beast. And we'll get to these individuals because this is okay. So this is what we're looking at. This is why I will also say that the fifth is not over. Why? I'll read it again. And the fifth messenger poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his reign became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues from pain. Wait a minute. Since when does darkness give you pain? That takes away sight. But the darkness that they're going to go through will be felt. And evil will be in that darkness. Notice when lights and things go out, evil gets crazy, right? People like to go out and do things because they know, number one, if electricity is knocked out, they want to kind of, take advantage of the absence of light, whether that's security, your fencing, electrical fences, or whatever. People want to take advantage of that because they have evil in their heart, right? But now suppose there's no way for you to get light. This light is felt. And all of a sudden you just feel the thud of someone attacking you. Yeah. Verse 12 through 17, we're going to look at how does the flood of Noah, the three woes, and the great judgment all combine in trumpet 5, 6, and definitely 7. And the sixth messenger poured out his bowl on the great Euphrates, and its water was dried up. So we had a trumpet 6, we have a bowl 6, of which I'm focusing in on. But you have one of each from 1 through 7, right? But I'm focusing in on number 6 today. And the sixth messenger poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up. Why? In order to prepare the way of the sovereigns from the east. So let's kind of take that by itself first, the first bullet. So if this is trumpet and bowl number 6, and it's Euphrates, of which we have seen an image that it is happening, and I can tell you, I can go back for probably, I've seen the latest date that I saw somebody give was back in 60 years ago. Certain things that were happening in the Euphrates. Going back to the 1800s, they really thought that time and the things that were happening a lot of people gathered during the 1800s for the rapture. They were gathering in different places. So we're not the first generation to see this, but according to the timing, the land of Israel wasn't even back in name. That didn't happen until mid-1900s. That started the 70-year clock. So I'm not giving you stuff just based on my own interpretation, but I'm looking at time and fulfillment of scriptural understanding. So I use 70, yes, but we know that Abraham left at 75. But 2018 was a major period for us, which was and I'm not going to get into the numbers, which was the pre-call to Israel saying next year, 2017, if you've seen or if you heard, if you were here, I took us back in my last teaching to Revelation chapter 12. My imagery was 2017, how the sky looked, the alignment of the different planets, and the vision of what is to take place, 2018. So that was 2007, the witness of heaven, 2018, now the witness in the earth, which is the blowing of the shofar to warn the next year will be the Jubilee. The Jubilee of a cycle of 8, not the regular cycle of Jubilee, of which I teach a lot on. But today, I want to make sense of it, how it all comes together. So if trumpet 6 is Euphrates, and we see it today in its greatest state of dryness today, second bullet, and I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast. So we got the dragon, we got the beast. And out of the mouth of the false prophet. So we have an unholy, as the church would call it, Trinity. Unholy, as the church would call it, Trinity. I can use it in this context. Three unclean spirits as frogs. I see this. This is why I keep saying to you, I see trumpet 6 already. It's happening. So what is trumpet 6? Let me go more into it. And they are the spirits of demons. Okay, so these unclean spirits as frogs, they are the spirits of demons doing signs which go out to the sovereigns of the entire world to gather them to the battle of the great day of Yahweh, the Almighty. So these three spirits, or these three frogs, are demonic forces that are going out. Why did he use only 3? Why couldn't he use just 1? Why didn't he use more? Number 1 does not establish truth, right? 2 or what? 3. So truth is now established that he's sending out to the nations a spirit of demonic forces that will bring nations into what they believe is a righteous war. They're coming together to subdue the other nations to their desire, because they feel that they have set the standard for world peace. So we are going to bring the nations together, and I know at least 30 of what they said, different nations have already signed up. I also know that Putin said he is a part of it. I also know that Netanyahu, president of Israel, said that he too is a part of it. So the number has grown. I just haven't heard any number bigger than 30. But what I have heard is at least 60 of them have said that they will, but it costs $1 billion per nation to sit at the table with President Trump as their leader. Democratic system, beast, that's, to me, the beast. All right, the next bullet. See, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he who is staying awake and guarding his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And they gathered them together to the place called, in Hebrew, Har Megiddo. Now, in the Greek, they call it the Battle of Armageddon. So, go back to the altar, the golden altar in front of Yahweh. Remember, he's pouring, right? So he's taking now from his altar and he's pouring out on the earth. And he's sending these unclean spirits to your governments of the earth. And they are creating boards and different elements of what they call peace. But how is it that you are fighting wars to achieve peace? That's just crazy. So, Revelation chapter 16, verse 17, that's number 6. So, now do you see why I said number 6 is so important? Because this is the end of number 6. So when number 6, when you see that war not start, when you see them in the hills of Israel, we don't see them in the hills of Israel right now. We see Israel going out to fight wars. And I'm talking about the political, geo-Israel. Right now they're bombing over in different various places. And so as long as that's taking place, what's really going to happen is they're going to come back and they're going to attack that land. And something is going to take place. Verse 17 says, and the 7th messenger poured out his bowl into the air. So Yahweh now is not just punishing the earth, the water, and the people. Now he's getting ready to do the air. What do we need? We need oxygen, right? We need water too, right? We need the earth. We need the soil. We need all of that. But Yahweh is finished here. And the 7th messenger poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out from the dwelling place of the heaven, from the throne, saying, it is done. That reminds me of when Yeshua was on the stake, the cross. And he said, it is finished. Right? So Yahweh is saying, the 6 is done. Now, not that they will discontinue, but when the 7th joins in with the other 6, we don't need to be in general population. So this is why we practice on a weekly basis, gathering for the Sabbath. And that entails wherever we are. We gather for the feast days. That entails wherever we are. So when this takes place and the books are open, that says who will live during this time. Will they all drop dead when the seventh trumpet sounds? No. The earth is still going. War is still going. It's not the end. It will be the end of the kingdom of man and the kingdom of Yahweh, because now the 1,000-year period will begin. But there is a process. And so, as I go back a little more into the desert viewpoint, this is what is called Makkah. Saudi Arabia, which we know is a lot of desert, is turning green. It is the sign, or is it the sign of the final hour? And again, these are just pieces of evidence that I go out, cut and paste, and I show where people have posted different things that are seen, that are local to them, or if a person travels out. So here's another article by the Express of the UK media, or online news media, by Laura Mawat. And this goes back to July 14, 2017. So, yes, this goes back a few years, and we can see that the desert was turning green even during that time. So Africa's desert to become lush green tropics as monsoons move to Sahara, scientists say. So we have the scientific community who's witnessing and saying, as water began to water even in the driest of the earth, you will see vegetation, and that's what you see. A man sitting down, and he's observing. He sees a little vegetation under these trees that have no leaves. But something is happening. And then you see on my left, your right, you see people and you see housing or ruins that are, when they excavate or things are unearthed and they begin to, do science research. But look up at the top, your right, top right-hand corner. You see a walled village. Outside the walls, you see desert. But inside, they begin to build around that vegetation. And so that vegetation, you have inhabitable surroundings where they can live. And so back to the people over here, we also have inhabitation. We see animals walking and pathways. Mm-hmm. Here is someone working the land over on your right. Once they begin to see things taking place, that you can produce vegetation in the desert, look what they're doing. They're going out now systematically testing. This is when they started. But 2 years later, look what happened. It grew vegetation. And this is scientifically proven that it can be done. Well, look at the left-hand side. You see, that looks like watermelon to me. Wait a minute, watermelon in the desert? Look at that. Not just one, but look at the desert. Yes, this is filled. So we see scientific proof that it can be done. So is this, I go back to my, forgetting my science, thesis. What hypothesis? Oh, my brain is too scrambled. What if this is the land that Yahweh has prepared? And more of the land will be inhabitable. This is only my thesis, okay? And so what if the desert becomes more green and at some point fully green? How much land, if we go back So what if we go back to, okay, so we see the before and after. This is more of what it looks like now. So what if more of this dry land is inhabited? Can you imagine if you look how the lands or the countries fit into portions of that? How much land would that be? And how many people could live there? Is that preserved? It's only my thesis, or
that's thesis, that's your
yeah, hypothetical. It's something hypothetical. Hypothetical.
hypotenuse?
That's it. I'm not even gonna try to say it. What if this is what Yahweh has prepared for us, and He's keeping it hot and bubbling, so the least amount of people can be there until He's ready for Israel. And then those who are not supposed to be there will not be there. Only the wise. Because remember, the scripture says, and in that day the sun shall no longer hit them. Wait a minute, is that desert? Is that when the desert shall become cooler and inhabited? And He said He's going to put water there.
Yeah.
And science have said, when waters meet desert, it brings forth vegetation quickly. So I'll leave it alone. Maybe that's just me thinking.
Hypothesis.
My hypothesis, that's it right there. My hypothesis, maybe that's just my hypothesis, but a hypothesis is a thought of something and you build around it, and it has to be proven in theory, it has to be proven in reality. It's only a theory. So, but I'm telling you, what I'm seeing, I believe Yahweh has already prepared for us. So why am I so happy to be here in a place that's hard? It seems like we're being invited, but then the road in is hard. Once you get here, they're tightening the laws to not welcome us so much. So if I don't know if any of you've seen, and I don't think I posted this in MHG, but someone put together all of the different things that's going on, and they're really going in now because a couple of days ago they put out a list of things that you have to meet in order to get citizenship. I'm talking about Ghana, citizenship. And it seems like they have added things that's almost impossible to do within the framework of the time. So you have to do certain things, I think, within the next few days. I think like from the 2nd to the 6th, you got to turn in all of this evidence, which includes DNA, which is impossible to get if you don't have it. And so there's other things, police reports and all of these things, and then on top of that, they put about $4,000 US on top of that, 25,000 CDs plus 1,500 CDs as a administrational, of which just basically said, just for us, you know. Whereas the process, they're saying, we're changing the price to 25,000 CDs. So the diaspora community is now rising up and trying to gather, and I know I'm kind of went off a little bit, but this is what's happening because they're saying as of, I think it's the 5th of March, when all things would have to have been processed and to meet President Mahama in Accra for the ceremony. And for some people, that's going to be near impossible.
February 4th.
So, February 4th?
February 4th, you have to have everything in to even be considered.
So, by the 4th, even to be considered, it all has to be processed and done before the 4th. But your paperwork have to be in this week coming. And for some people, that's impossible. And so there is vocal uprising at this time. I've been seeing it for a few days now. But when the door shuts, the door is shut. So this is my last, so I'll go ahead and jump right into it. Yeshua defeats the beast and the false prophet. The first thing I noticed is that from this verse, Hasatan is not named as a part of this one. So let me go through it and you'll see what I'm saying. Revelation chapter 19, verse 19 through 21. And I saw the beast and the sovereigns of the earth, so that's your global heads, and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. So the one who is sitting on the horse now is Yeshua. Remember, there's a pale horse and there's a white horse. And the first white horse is not Yeshua in the trumpets or the 4 horsemen. But this one is Yeshua because they have gathered themselves to fight against Yeshua who sat on the horse and his army. The beast was seized, and with him the false prophet, who worked signs in his presence, but which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worship his image. The two, only two, the two were thrown alive into the lake of burning fire with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse. And all the birds were filled with their flesh. And remember, I've said it over and over. Keep the feast, or you can become the feast. This is evidence. What is taking place here? What's taking place is those whose names that are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. There is no promise that you will survive. Will some survive? Yes. A whole lot will survive. Even those who are not calling on Yeshua. Those who are not calling on Yahweh. A lot of them will survive. But what will be the price? because it's talking about 1/3 of the earth. 2/3 of the earth or 3/3 of the earth is not against Yahweh.
Right.
Some people have been deceived in believing what they believe, but it's not under total truth and obedience. They are the ones who have to go through and escape and stay alive. But the wise, they are not part of this. They will not be out there where the birds will be eating their flesh. So let me wrap it up by giving that time period. This is why I said the sixth trumpet. The sixth trumpet will end with this. Revelation chapter 11, verse 3. 1260th day. The two witnesses die because they're, I believe, taking us through all of the earthquakes and all of the things, the fires, the drownings, all of the stuff that is going on right now. I don't know if you know about Syria, Turkey, Iraq, Iran. Those areas had a huge earthquake. And I've heard one thing and I saw another thing. I saw where they had a 9.5 earthquake and there was 33,000 that died during that time. 33,000 is a lot of people. And this was over in the Turkish, Iran, all of that area. So people from the different areas. That's a lot of people.
Yes, it is. That's a massive.
But then I also heard somebody else reporting and saying, very recent, they had another one that was in that magnitude, and about 30,000 died in that. Now, I couldn't verify that one. It was only a video of which led me to the 9.5, which was 33,000. So Daniel chapter 12, verse 11 says 1290. What's important about the 1290th day? After Hasatan kills the two witnesses, their bodies lie in the streets of Jerusalem for 3.5 days. Then the voice of Yahweh comes out of heaven and says, "Come up here." And those who are in close proximity will see their dead bodies rise. And then they will live forever. Because that will be the first time Enoch and Elijah would have tasted death, both taken up in whirlwinds. But they stand now, and I say this without hesitation. Whenever you see earthquakes, tornadoes, fires, floods, anytime you see those things, even lion attacks, people attacks, your police, your ICE, of the European nations, all of that is part of death right now. So after Hasatan is subdued, then the scripture says, "Blessed is he who comes to 1,335 days." So that's your time, times, and half time. Who lives the longest? Well, the first to die is the two witnesses. That's the end of the sixth trumpet. Now you see what I'm saying. When we get to the end of the sixth trumpet, I believe that Israel is supposed to be on their way where they're supposed to go. So when the 1290th day happens, it says that Hasatan, he goes after all of Israel, the woman with 12 stars. But then the wise go in, the door is closed, and he goes after who? The remnant, those having the witness of Yeshua. Well, that's your foolish, because they believe in Yeshua, but just not enough to keep all the commandments, because they've been deceived. But then 1335, these are the wise who has to be on the other side of the door. The door, after it closes, you want to be on the inside of the door. And how do you get on the inside? Simple. Keep the Sabbath. Keep the feast days. Wherever you are. Leviticus 23. And so once these things are done, is the world still continuing? Yes. Will there still be war? Yes. All of that is going on the outside of the door, not on the inside. The inside of the door is protection. By the time we come back out of the door, all of that is supposed to be over. So is that 3.5 years of time that we will be hidden away? It remains to be seen. A lot of this prophecy, I can speak things before they happen, but I have to see as they happen, is it fulfilled? And I think that of most people who speak or teaches on prophecy, we speak expectation of what we think is supposed to happen. But it is only Yahweh to bring those things to pass. Can we give Yahweh a praise? Hallelujah.